Animation has always been one of my absolute favorite forms of media to consume since I was very, very young, and it continues to be so now. And two of my absolute favorite animated films are Howls Moving Castle from the Ghibli master Miyazaki, and also Beauty and the Beast. Now, both of these films have very, very special places in my heart. They were big portions of my life growing up and have continued to be huge inspirations for what I do and what I read and what I enjoy. Even now, I love a good Beauty and the Beast retelling. I love things that remind me of Howl's Moving Castle and the love and just heart that went into that movie. So when I got the opportunity to explore the location that both of these films were based on, so to speak, I jumped at the chance. And so this is my journey exploring the wonderful and beautiful city of Colmar. Now, Colmar is located on the border of France and Germany, and so it has a really beautiful mixing of the two cultures when it comes to architecture and language and everything that constitutes that. But let's just jump into exploring the absolute beauty of Colmar. Now, we started our journey in Strasbourg, which was like a 30-minute train ride north of, again, the city of Colmar. We kind of used Strasbourg as a midway point to exploring a lot of the Alsace region, but we hopped on the train and headed to Colmar. When you first entered Colmar, you were immediately struck by the storybook-esque architecture surrounding you, with all of the colorful buildings and crisscrossed shapes between all of them. It just is absolutely gorgeous, and it's very, very clear where the inspiration has come from for both of these films. Again, with the unique meshing of French and German culture, it really creates a gorgeous storybook vibe that I did not see anywhere else in our journey through Europe, and it really feels like you are stepping into the world of Howl's Moving Castle and into the world of Beauty and the Beast, which was just so incredible. The first thing I clearly saw was just the beauty of Howl's Moving Castle, and it reminded me a lot of Sophie's Hat Shop. And there was just certain areas where you could clearly see the inspiration that Miyazaki drew from. For example, there was a canal that was surrounded by both of these gorgeous buildings on each side. We even saw a couple cosplaying as Sophie and Howl on this bridge over this canal, which was so fun, and I absolutely loved them. They were killing it. But this canal immediately reminded me of the train in front of Sophie's Hat Shop. I was just blown away. If you look at them side by side, you can clearly see the inspiration there, and it just reminds me how locations are just as important to animated films as they are to real life films and creating the mood and environment, and it was just so cool. One of the main reasons I love Howl's Moving Castle and why it still remains as one of my favorite Ghibli films of all time. Nausicaa is very, very close. I will say that. Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind is very, very close. But I love Howl's Moving Castle because of how it portrays love and hope in a world that feels like there shouldn't be anything of the sort. The way that Miyazaki depicts war oftentimes is very brutal and real and realistic, and Ghibli does an excellent job of not shying away from the realities of that. But with Howl's Moving Castle, you get this film that depicts war, depicts what it is like, while still allowing there to be this love and hope for a better future. And in a time like this right now, I really feel like watching Howl's Moving Castle is one of the only reasons why I remain hopeful and remain just happy in times like this. It, again, is such a beautiful reminder, and I just love the film for that reason. I highly recommend checking out the video essay by Breadsword. He does a fantastic job of just diving in to the beauty of Howl's Moving Castle and why It is a favorite for so many. I often find a lot of people very confused by the plot when I try to talk about it with people, but again, Breadsword in that video essay just perfectly describes why it remains one of my favorite films to this day. Another really fun thing about exploring Colmar when we did was we saw a little bit of the inklings of the Christmas market that actually happens here. Now, we ended up coming there at the very end of November, so there was, again, just slight decorations, all the Christmas shops started opening up, and it just made me so happy, and I was a little sad that we weren't able to stay for the actual Christmas market, but I've heard incredible things, and it was wonderful to kind of see the meshing of fall with the bright colors and also like the beginnings of the Christmas season all in one like walkabout of the city. It was absolutely incredible, and although it does look busy, I promise it is not as busy as it usually is, and I never felt overwhelmed, which was a big deal for someone who has ADHD and can often feel very overwhelmed in just like crowded spaces. So I highly recommend going in November if you want or are choosing to go. Eventually, we ended up in a quieter part of town, and this is where I could clearly see the inspiration of Beauty and the Beast. Now, Beauty and the Beast was that film for 5-year-old Michaela. I watched that movie constantly. It was on repeat in my home all of the time. That was my princess. That was my movie. I just loved Belle so much, and Beauty and the Beast, again, just remains one of my favorite films of all time. Like, there's no doubt in my mind why that film ended up winning an Oscar. It just stands the test of time, and it's so incredible, and it just reminds me of, again, the beauty of fairy tales and the beauty of love and all of those things, and I just love it so much. Now, Belle as a character obviously makes me so happy as an avid reader. As y'all know on this channel, that's mainly what I do, is read a ton of books. And as a kid, it was not, I guess, the cool thing to do to be a reader. I was very much a Matilda-esque person. I spent all of my summer at the library. I would spend the majority of my time at the school library. The librarians were my best friends, quite literally. And so it's no wonder why I love Belle so much, and why as a kid I looked up to Belle and I saw myself in that person. And I know it's very stereotypical, like, oh, you like to read and Belle likes to read, so that's your favorite princess. But as someone who is kind of made fun of for reading and wanting to read constantly, it was really nice to have someone to look up to in media for me that was cool and decided that that was an okay thing to be. I just really loved that. And again, I know it's probably silly and a little stereotypical, but that's just the reality of it for me. And I just love Belle. And so when I saw Belle's fountain, I was just so ecstatic and so happy. I immediately ran up and sat down and just reminisced over my love of that film and that movie, and it made my little inner child just so happy. We spent the rest of the day just exploring the shops and beauty of the little town. We really wanted to go book shopping, but unfortunately the timing that we went, most of the bookstores were closed for the Christmas season, so that was a little unfortunate, but it was still an incredible, wonderful time. And I have never been so inspired by a town, and it's no wonder the creators of Beauty and the Beast and why Miyazaki was so inspired by these German French border towns. It's no wonder where they got their inspiration from, and I just love going to film locations, movie locations. It was just wonderful to see literally two of my favorite films brought to life in front of me. Now, I know this is not one of my usual videos, and I still hope you enjoyed me just chatting about films that I love. I do want to do more of this soon because I love books, but I also just love media in general and what makes things. I originally actually went to school to get my film degree. I studied for that. I worked in the industry for quite a bit and then had to drop out because of a number of different reasons, and then eventually got my literature degree. So we got all the bases covered here, and I would just really love to be able to explore more of that side of what I love. So again, thank you so much for watching, and if you liked this video, please give it a like to let me know if you want to see more videos similar to this of just exploring other forms of media that I love. So again, thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Bye!